1934 Chrysler Airflow. What have I done to this one? Blimey. Exhaust manifold was cracked, so we had a spare car. I know that sounds stupid for Chrysler Airflows, but it's Gordon we're talking about. This is the exhaust and inlet manifold off of another one, which I made fit because the exhaust outlet was different, bits and pieces were different, but anyway, it's all the basic same straight 8 engine. So that's all done, all running, but the electrics, the only thing that was wired into it was literally to start it.
Okay.
I took the loom out the front, took the headlamps out, the side lamps out, rear lamps out, started stripping down the wiring loom to try and chase back to where it was any good.
Yeah.
Thought I'd got it back to where it was any good, powered the lighting system up, turned the lights on, it blew the back out of the light switch, and the cigarette lighter shot through to the back of the car.
Oh, right.
And burned all the wires out.
Crikey.
So you have to make a decision there and then, either remake the loom or to keep chasing. I'd still be chasing that loom now, whereas I've now ripped the loom out, the dash is all in, I've remade all the dash loom, that's all back in, new ignition switch. Robin managed to repair the light switch, which is all good. Doesn't work as per the original because they had a right weird setup. You'd have what they call parking lamps, so a bit like Mercedes do now. You leave, or Volkswagen did it, didn't they? You leave your, I think it's the light that's nearest the roadside, it just stays on a dull light.
Okay, yeah.
Had all of that sort of stuff, and there was eight positions on the back of the light switch. Realistically, you only need 2 side lamps and headlamps. So we managed to get that working like that. So all the dash looms in, all run through the side, back down to the bottom here. So we've got, that goes to your foot dip switch, which is up under there. That lot goes to the back of the car, obviously I've got to cut and extend it all. That goes up to starter motor, so you've got coil feed, push button starter feed, generator feed, horn feed, and your main electrics feed into the car. They go to dynamo, so one's your charge wire back up to the system, and the other one goes to the starter. I'm not exactly sure what that does, but I've copied the loom because I've found a loom diagram for it. We've got to put indicators in it.
Yep.
So you've got horn feed, dip beam, main beam, right hand indicator, left hand indicator, and side lamps. So that feeds the whole front end of the car. Now the indicators, the way they work, I can get my knees to move. So good old British indicators. You have a wire, feeds to the flasher unit,
Yep.
out the flasher unit to your indicator switch, and then a repeater lamp, so you get a blinker on the dashboard. Not this thing,
Okay.
because it's American, and the way it works is it cuts out one brake light. Do you remember that on the back?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got left hand rear, right hand rear, which also either flash or double up as a brake lamp.
Okay.
You've got, oh, that one's redundant because this is an 8 wire. That's from the brake light switch. Left hand front, right hand front, L on the flasher unit, and that's P on the flasher unit. So P basically means pilot lamp. That makes that flash when it's all wired in.
Okay.
So you've got to wire all that lot into the harness as well, which I've done. That's all hanging down in here, look. Anyway, but all of that's in there, yeah? All the wires that connect to those.
Yeah.
So then you've got to clamp that to that, making sure you've got a really good earth, whichever side you want to put it, it doesn't matter. And run your wires in there, mount your flasher unit. So that's basically all of the indicator system, hopefully. This is where you put one wire in wrong and then you've had it. Shouldn't originally have a push button starter because it works off vacuum, but because that inlet manifold was broken I had to change it.
Yep.
Rear lamps are dodgy. That one won't be too bad because you can get to the wiring, yeah, but that one has obviously been crashed. This snapped off and that's all full of filler.
Oh God.
alloy metal. But as it happens, Gordon's got another 1934 Chrysler Airflow, so I can nick the backlight off of that one, because you'd never ever get that working in a million years, because all you're going to do, where that's been filled and joined, look, it'll just smash that to pieces when you take it apart.
Okay.
So that's that. I've got converts. There are your front side lamps. Sit in, I'll show you. So your headlamp is in there. Okay.
Yep.
So that's just 3 wires to the headlamp, earth, dip beam, main beam. You can use this as your indicator light.
Oh, okay.
But you still got to run a side lamp, so I think there's one over there, I'll have a look. Drill a hole in that.
Yeah.
And you get, this is a generic motorbike headlamp. So you have that. Right, so what you do is you drill a hole in the back of there.
Yep.
It'll take that grommet. So you drill a hole the size of that inner piece,
Okay.
and you force the grommet in so it won't fall out. Side lamp bulb in there, and that literally just pushes into the grommet.
Okay.
So that's your side lamps then. So you've got side lamps inside the bulb and indicator on the big lamp.
Yeah.
So that's good. I think I've got another one somewhere, if not I'll get one. So that converts those into side lamps and indicators.
Yeah.
The backs are already done because you have, even though it didn't have indicators, you're doubling your brake lamps up as indicators.
Yeah.
So you've got side lamp, double filament bulb, side lamp and indicator, but they're doubled up on the brake switch.
Okay. Yeah.
Vacuum wipers, which are absolute shit, but I've found a place now that does 6-volt electric motors.
Okay.
So I'll run some wires up for that. Interior light lenses. There was a loom for a 1937 interior light.
Okay.
So we're going to use that. Now, again, being American and the way they work things, you only need 2 wires
Slight overkill.
because it's got an on-off switch
Yeah.
on the dash, on the centre pillar. Hasn't got any light switches on the front doors, but it's got light switches on the back doors.
Okay.
So you've got to run the loom all the way through the roof lining, which it hasn't got in it. But that'll do that. It's off a 37. There's bits I need to cut off of it, but that'll get us out of shit with that. Boot lamp we don't need because it don't actually have a boot. It did have one because what you do is it's got no boot. So you take the base of the rear seat out,
Yeah.
and then the back of the rear seat lifts up,
Okay. Yeah.
and that basically is your minimal boot area. A total waste of time. So there's no point putting a light in that at all, because you know he's ever going to go in there. Horns, whether they work or not, I don't know, because they all had burnt wires going to them. This has been burnt out, soldered up. All I can do is try. You can spend hours and hours and hours trying to get horns to work. If I can get them to work within half an hour, use them. If not, just put a dummy horn in somewhere, a 6-volt motorbike horn somewhere.
Why are they so hard to work on?
Just the way they are, the way they're built, and they basically they sit there, water gets down into them. They work by electromagnet pulling down the centre of the horn, vibrating a set of points in there. That's what your noise. That's those points going up and down.
Yeah.
And that's basically a metal diaphragm which makes the noise. They're an absolute pain in the arse to do. See, that needs adjusting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the points not opening and shutting enough to make the plate vibrate. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, but can you hear the sort of vibration at the end of it? I'll do it again. Yeah, that's that plate going up and down. I mean, on a Harley there's a bolt there, so you undo that lock nut on that little small bolt. Yeah, there's a little screw in there, and you turn that very slightly to adjust the points. Yeah, here's that one. also you can adjust the screws on the front, on the back, all sorts of shit. They're a nightmare. Say that's worse. That's definitely worse. They're not doing anything. So my points ain't touching anything in that screw. So wind the lock nut out. Come back in. Could just be the horn's broken, but yeah, that's gone the other way. That's not working. That's gone past it. So that'll need an adjustment inside the horn now, but
Yeah.
so leave that at that, and I know that's a borderline. It is making a noise,
Yeah.
but that'll be assembled wrong somewhere. Because you'll do this lock nut up, and then the bloody thing won't work.
Yeah, of course.
I'll be inclined to leave that like that until we take the horn apart if we need to. But yeah, that's just a simple adjustment. Normally that'll get them going, but if there's something out of adjustment on the electromagnet,
Yeah.
no matter what you do to that screw, they won't work.
Is it just a bad design, or that's just how horns are designed?
Just how they work originally. Yeah, we did a video on it ages ago, didn't we?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
Took the dip switch apart this morning, your foot dip switch. That's had it, so I've got to get another one of them. The way they make wiring looms, they have a great big board with nails everywhere.
Okay.
And they run all the wires down to each bit, you know. But obviously we haven't got the facility to do that, so started with this. So we know we've got to run, say, 20 wires, yeah? You tie that around that. Okay?
Yeah.
So my furthest point away from everything is the ammeter on the dashboard.
Right.
So I've written on there, brake for ammeter, to ignition switch, to light switch, indicator and heater feed, to the stop button on the dashboard, to dip switch and rear of car. Carry on.
And these are distance markers, are they?
Yes. So that's to your starter motor and your coil feed, the dynamo, and that one's front wiring to the car. So I tied, basically all I do, put a bolt through something or clamp it in a vise or tie that round there. And I know then where each bit of wire spurs off.
Right. Okay.
Pull that way. So all of that length there is what's in that wiring loop. From there to there with 15 wires.
Yeah.
All spurred off in the right place. So you're just a distance marker, like you say.
Yeah.
Yes, some of them were long, but it's always better to be long than
Oh,
short.
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And you've got rolls and rolls and rolls of wire, so that's the way I do it. It's not accurate by any way or form, but it does the job.
Definitely.
There's nothing worse than starting, you know, building a loom. And you go, oh, that f***ing wire's not long enough, you know, you have to solder it or join it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just easier to try and get it over length in the first place. And that's about it really, Stu.